What's going on, everyone? Thomas Jordan here for another episode. Today we are joined by a business coach and launch coach all the way from Norway, Ken WestGaard. What's going on, man?
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you, man. I know you are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this area of expertise, but we're just going to jump right in. For those people who don't know you, who are you and who do you serve?
Well, like you said, my name is Ken WestGaard and I'm from Norway. So that's that. I live with my wife and two kids. I have three cats. So that doesn't make me a cat person in that sense, because we're more family members than cats. So that's a good thing. But other than that, I do serve online coaches with growing and scaling their business with fun, simple money-making launches, basically.
And for those people who don't know what launching is for businesses, for whether it's a course, group coaching, anything like that, can you give a quick, just brief description on what it is?
Sure. I like to compare it with like movie premieres. You know, you have big movie premieres, and there's a reason why you actually want to go to that movie premiere, because there's been so much work done before you actually get to that movie premiere. So obviously that's the whole launch thing with movies, is that, you know, they start early on and start promoting this. You know, you have like the actors starting talking about the movie, maybe you see some behind the scenes stuff, and then, you know, as you get closer, there's trailers, there's teasers, there's posters, there's billboards. I mean, the whole shebang. And once you actually get to the premiere, you know, you have celebrities and you have the red carpet and all that stuff. So, you know, it's a big thing, and you kind of build up that anticipation for that movie. And, you know, there's a reason why movies do this, because it's been working for, I don't know, probably a century almost now. So obviously it's a good thing. And we can see the same thing in, you know, with books. You know, you have a book launch, you have a book tour. You don't just write a book, put it on the shelf and hope somebody buys it, you know. So people do that. And same thing is in the entrepreneur industry as well.
Yeah, I wish it were that easy. It's like you create a course or a program and just, hey, I got a course. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Crickets.
But unfortunately, a lot of people think that that's the thing to do. You know, you just create something, put it out there, and all right, good. Let's sell this, and you know, nothing happens.
Yeah. So when, as far as your area of expertise with launching, there's so many other ways to launch. What drew you to this specific form of launching?
I think it's just, I am a type of person who loves to kind of do a little bit of everything, you know, and a launch do consist of a little bit of everything, because, you know, you got to put all the pieces together. It's like a big machine, you know, and then there's a lot of stuff that needs to work together. And I enjoy, you know, the stuff like that has to do with the messaging, the copy, the design of the web page or sales pages, and just the technical stuff. You need to put it together, make it work, make it talk to each other. So yeah, pretty much everything. So that's what kind of drew me to it.
Yeah. And are you, what would you say your specific style of launching is? I know when you're launching for your course, group coaching program or one-on-one coaching, there's like the evergreen model, there's a live launch model, there's a video series model. There's so many different models out there. Which one would you say works the best for you?
I mean, to be honest, we all know that they work. I mean, you can do a webinar and it works because it's been proven by all of these experts out there. So I think it really comes down to what you personally feel comfortable with doing and have fun while you're doing it, because the energy that you kind of put into the launch is the energy that, you know, your audience is picking up on. So if you're trying to do something that feels really uncomfortable, or you're just not enjoying it, you hate it, then, you know, you're going to show off this negative energy towards it, and people do pick up on it, you know, whether you want it or not. So, but we do see that, you know, like this live launch thing is really big. It's really helping people to get to know you, and you get to spend a few days with them and really share your knowledge. So obviously that working, but we do see that a lot of people starting to gear towards the evergreen model, which means basically that you don't open and close the doors. You just basically, it's open all the time, but you can do a live launch in between that as well, just to kind of boost the sales, obviously. But it's always open. People can join whenever they want to, and it's it's ongoing.
And which out of all those different models, because like you said, I know each and every one works. You know, our business mentors, Brandon Lucero and James Wedmore, both I think did they competed with video series for a while,
They
and
started with it,
obviously
yeah.
those worked, and now they're more so doing live launches. But you see it in these groups, and anybody out there, it's like, well, which one is best? So it's like, well, any of them really.
Yeah.
Do you like personally, like if you had to choose right now, like what I know you're launching your product as well, which model are you going with?
I'm going with the evergreen model and doing a live launch a couple times a year, maybe 4 times a year, depending on how well it goes.
And and how would you or is how much different is live launching to you versus evergreen?
Um, I think it's just more of you put a lot more focus on that you're actually pushing out this product instead of you got your funnels and people coming in through different places. So maybe the podcast, maybe they sign up for a freebie training, something, which is kind of like an ongoing thing. And then you get them into your email list and you nurture them, and then you kind of pitch them. And that's kind of the evergreen model. But with the live launch, you kind of just bring the experience to it. Like I said, the red carpet experience, basically, where you really focus in on helping people in a bigger audience and just having fun with it.
So if somebody comes to you and they're like, Ken, I'm ready to launch my next online course, like and they're like, where do we start? Where would you guide them?
Definitely, we start with the date. When are you launching? It's really that simple because you got to work your way back from that. Because if you don't know when you're launching, then it's hard to kind of know what it is that you need to get done by what time, basically. So start with the end in mind, like always, and figure out what date are you going to launch. And I mean, I'm going to say try to stick to it because obviously it's not always easy, depending on whether you have a team or not, if the time frame fits with everything. But I mean, at least set a date so you have something to work towards, and then you work from that point with planning out what kind of launch you want to do, how you're going to sell it, what platform are you going to be promoting it on, how are you going to build a list, all of that stuff.
And as far as like when you do set a date, is there, I guess, what would you say is like a time frame? Are we talking like a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, like, or how long is your runway?
I would say it depends on a few things, obviously. How big of a launch is it? I mean, is it a big product, expensive product? Is it like a $2,000 program? Then it could be a good idea to just have a little longer launch runway with, maybe 60, 90 days in between, just so you have time to prepare everything and promote it and have like that runway towards the launch. But if it's a cheaper product, then you can easily do it in a couple of weeks. You can do monthly, weekly. I mean, it really depends on a lot of stuff. But I think the most important thing is that you actually have people warming up to this, and you have to have your messaging on point. You need to have a really good offer, and those two things really play into the whole launch itself. I mean, without a good messaging and a great offer, the launch is going to fall flat no matter what. It doesn't really matter because that's like the two main components of like the foundation of the whole launch and your business, basically.
Yeah, I actually talked to Brandon about this. And for those who are listening, it's like I asked him, what, if you were to start an online business all over again, would you start learning more of like the business stuff or the messaging side? And I mean, just because he teaches messaging, he made it clear that he's like, I know I teach it, but this is what I would do to like build demand and build a little momentum, so you get super clear on what your brand is, and like I said, the messaging behind it, so you can eventually turn it into sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, when you have messaging, people understand that you understand them, and that you understand the problem that they have and how you can solve it. I mean, it's really about that connection, that they see that you actually get it. You're not just somebody who just trying to sell something, but you actually, actually what you're talking about. So it's really important that you really show that you understand them. And it used to be a lot about just talking about the transformation. We're going to take you from point A to point B, and that's going to be great. This is how it is. But now it's more about, okay, I'm going to show you that this is the problem you're experiencing, and you're going to describe it, and you're going to be real specific about it, because they're going to sit there and like, oh wow, he's in my head. This is me, and that's where you kind of want them. But a lot of people just thinking and slapping something that get together, and it's just copy. It doesn't matter. But messaging is kind of is a level deeper. The messaging creates the copy, basically.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what's funny is like, I think with a lot of like people just getting started in the business don't realize how many moving pieces there are. It's like, there's the messaging, and it's like, that takes forever to figure out. And then it's like, we talked about offers, and that's what we'll talk about real quick, but it's like, how important is your offer? Because it could either be really good or like really bad. If you've got a bad offer, you could throw $100,000 at Facebook ads at it, and it still fall flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you still got to have an offer that's irresistible. I like it to call it like the $1 million offer, because it should feel like a $1 million offer when you finally figure out what that is. But it's not always like you can't always go at it like a strategic way and just, oh, this is how it's going to look, blah blah blah. Because it's a lot to do with the energy behind it. You gotta be able to stand on the rooftops and just scream it out. I'm so proud of this offer. I'm going to help you, and I know it's going to help you. I think that's equally important as the offer itself. Because I mean, I would honestly say that energy kind of trumps both messaging and offer in itself. Because if you believe it, then other will believe it too.
Mm-hmm. And when it does come to the offer, or the offers are part of the launch, do you work with people on their offer as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because it's a part of it. I think when it comes to launching, yes, it's the tactical and strategies and all that stuff, having a date and knowing what to do and that stuff. But you can still do a launch, and if your messaging is not on point, or you have a bad offer, like you said, it doesn't really matter how much you plan it out and how well everything is done beforehand, because people are not going to respond to it, and they're not going to buy it. Basically, it's really that simple. So we got to spend a lot of time on those two things to make sure that you get your energy up and get ready for getting people aboard about the buzz. Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. But I would say that messaging, yes, it does take time, but at the same time, you just got to let it evolve and change, and just accept that it is what it is. And it's not something that you kind of say, oh, there is, done, great, perfect, let's move on, because it's going to change, and you're going to change. As you start learning new things, and you get things, different perspectives, and your mindset and all that stuff, which is a whole other thing, by the way, the mindset in a launch.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to mindset in launches, what would you say are a few, like, do you see any mistakes that course creators and online experts are making?
It's hard to say that there are mistakes, because, I mean, it's just natural feeling that comes with it. I mean, before you get into launch, you're excited because you got everything figured out. You have messaging, you have your offer, all that stuff, and then you just hit it, and then the days go by, and you're not seeing the sales, and then start to like get really upset because it's not going the way you hoped it would. So it's basically just an emotional roller coaster every single day, because you're not maybe seeing the things that you hoped you would see, and you have these expectations of things. But it's easy to say that, just let it go, be detached from the result and all that. But it's harder to do that, because you invested a lot of time and effort into it, and you want to help people, obviously. So it's frustrating when you maybe don't see any sales at all. I mean, it's not uncommon for people to have 0 sales in a launch, at least in the beginning. And you can even have like a really good launch, and then the second launch is going to be worse than first launch, which is, you would think that would be better, right? Because you've done the changes and improved it, but it can actually just go the opposite way.
And why do you think that happens? Like, because I'm on my quote unquote 8th launch, and I am definitely falling forward, as we like to say, but it is you're right. It is an emotional roller coaster, because you get excited, and then it's like, overwhelming with all the work and the moving pieces. And then all of a sudden, I mean, you see it in the groups all the time. People are like, it's day 2 and I've got nothing. And then it's like carts closing, still nothing. It's like, man, I can't even get people to email me back for my debrief. What's going on? So that's where it starts. And then it's like, okay, you finally have your home run offer and your $1 million offer that goes well. And then why would you say, do you think it like maybe on like the second launch, as you were saying, kind of falls flat a little bit?
A lot of the times people tend to make too many changes. They don't just tweak, minor changes is good, like one change here, maybe another one. But people tend to kind of just really start over again. Almost. Not always, but a lot of the times. So they change up a lot of things, and then basically you don't know what was working or what didn't work, and you're left just wondering what the heck happened, But it is most likely because you did too many changes at once. You should take small steps, small changes, because then you can kind of pinpoint, oh, okay, that didn't work. Okay, cool. Then I won't do that again. So it's easier for you to kind of figure out what is working, what's not working. You might have an idea after the first launch, but if you start changing all the things that didn't work, then it's going to be a problem with the next launch for sure.
And when you say make these like small tweaks, which small tweaks do you focus on?
For me, it's always about messaging and offer. I always go back to that because that's the two main things that really can affect your offer, not the offer, the launch in a big way. So I would take a look at, did you maybe with the offer, maybe you bump the price like twice as much than the last time, obviously that's going to have an effect. And maybe you change something in the offer itself. So you don't know if it was that or it was just a price, or maybe also change the messaging in a big way. So you suddenly are not focusing on the same audience that you used to. You change that, or maybe you change something in the messaging itself. So yeah, I would, start slowly and not make too many big changes, because then it's going to be hard to figure out what was the cause of it.
Yeah. And when I know messaging is all its own, that's its own, that's its own beast. But when it comes to offers, I feel like and when this kind of goes back to what I was asking earlier about tweaking offers, where do you start with, or what is your process for kind of refining somebody's, like, we'll call it a like a single or a double offer versus the home run offer, where it's like they're like missing like one or two like key components, and then it's like you come in, you put those components in there, and then it's like, oh man, this is gonna sell.
Well, an offer basically consists of the promise, like what is the transformation, what is the problem that you're solving. So that is something that you actually have to focus on and really figure out, because that is going to speak to the customer. The second piece is the process. What is the process for getting them through that transformation or solve that problem? So that could be an online course or membership, and that doesn't really matter that much. You can do it any way you want to. And then obviously it's the price, and people tend to say that you should be 10x the value of the price you're putting out there. So let's say it's a $1,000 product, it should be valued at 10,000. It should feel like you're getting ripped off by yourself, by the way. So people ripping you off, basically. But I think the most important thing here to focus on is the promise. How are you going to solve that problem for them? And what does that transformation look like?
Can you talk about, can you give like an example of one of your clients where their offer fell just a little bit short, and then how you tweaked it to make it ready to launch?
Yeah. We had people in the health industry, which is really popular industry, by the way. And people tend to talk, they know that, in order to get that transformation, it's the mindset, a lot of the things that they need to do and all that stuff. But people who want that help is not at that level. They don't understand that, oh yeah, I just gotta, work on my mindset, and then things will change, because what they want to do is they want to lose weight. And you need to speak to that instead, just to kind of hook them in so that you show that you understand that you want to lose weight. Okay, great. Let's get you in on the inside. And then, when you get them on the inside, well, let's talk about how are you going to do this? And it's start with, the mindset, because then they're on the inside, but you don't really speak to the mindset piece. Instead, you just speak to the thing that they actually want. And that's what you're promising them, that they're going to lose weight, and they're going to do that no matter what. So, but it's just a matter of how you speak about it.
Mm-hmm. And before, like when you're creating your launch and your runway and everything like that, as far as getting people interested in building demand for your product so you can launch, I know you do use video and you're very good at it. I guess which platform? Because I know a lot of people who are just getting into this, you got to start somewhere. Is there any specific platform that you use, and why?
I personally use the Instagram the most, because I feel like I'm getting engagement there, and I can communicate people with them in the DMs and stuff like that. But the most important thing is that you are where your audience is at. So if they're not on Instagram, there's really not a point for you to spend all the time on Instagram. If they're on Facebook, well, then you should go on Facebook and be there. But we do see TikTok is big, obviously. Still, I would say, still new. So you're still getting in front of a lot of people that you normally wouldn't. So that's a great place to test out and try it if you can get through that. But obviously, I know James talked about this because he got some help on that. And there's a lot of young people on TikTok, obviously, and you got to kind of get through those gatekeepers, which is the 25-year-olds. Because if you do manage to get through them, then that means that it's going to go viral, and then it's going to spread out to the people that you're actually trying to meet, obviously. But it's a game, so you have to figure out how to get to the 25-year-olds, obviously. But yeah, I mean, choose the platform where your audience is at. Simple as that. So if it's Facebook or it's LinkedIn or Pinterest, or it doesn't matter. But yeah,
if you had to start from zero, which platform would you choose and why?
I'm a little bit torn between Instagram and TikTok. Not sure which one I would choose, because TikTok, it's hard to just kind of get the right people in front of, or get in front of the right people. But it's easier at the same time than Instagram, because it's harder to be found on Instagram. But I think it really comes down to consistency, obviously, either way. Show up every day and just do something, post something, create something. That will make it a lot easier.
Yeah, and we talk about this all the time. It's like, just start with one and then just kind of branch out, because if you try to be everywhere like Gary Vee, I feel like that is the fastest way to burnout. And if you don't believe me, go try it and see what happens. Yeah, exactly. It is exhausting. No, the good thing is, I don't know, I always talk with my students is like posting with purpose. So instead of trying to be everywhere, like make sure there's like a reason. So the thing about TikTok, everyone's like, oh, you got to do TikTok or whatever. But it's like, I like TikTok for the instant, not gratification, but like, I feel like people more inclined to interact with you on TikTok and like comment, whether it's negative or not. It's like you're getting a lot better like comments and things like that. And same thing with like YouTube. I feel like YouTube is super slept on because it is a little bit more complicated. But like I said, I mean, you see it all the time with platforms like in our business groups. Like some people make all their money from YouTube. Some other people do it from TikTok, Instagram. Like you said, it's just consistency and just figure out where your audience lives. But I almost want to say that I feel like with enough consistency, if you just stuck to one of the many out there, I feel like you could still generate enough leads to launch.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. And I think what's so nice about TikTok is that it's not that bloated yet, in the sense of there's not that many things that you can do with it. It's a video and that's it. You post a video, you add some hashtags, and you're done. With everything else, you can do a carousel, you can do posts, you can do this, you can do that. I mean, it's like, so you kind of overwhelm yourself just by trying to figure out, well, should I do this? Should I do that? What does the algorithm responds to, But with TikTok, it's just create a video, slap on some hashtags, and you're good to go. I'm oversimplifying it, but yeah.
Yeah, and I have like I said, I love the gear, and I like making my stuff look all crispy like yours as well. Do you think you'll ever go? Do you think the market will ever evolve to where people stop using all this like high, quote unquote, higher end equipment and just use their phones?
I really hope not. To be honest, it breaks my heart.
I know.
I mean, I like having things to look nice. That's just who I am. I like to have things looking professional and nice. But unfortunately, we're moving in that direction where you can just pick up a phone, do whatever, and be silly, and doesn't really matter. But I still think there's room for nice looking videos that actually uses nice equipment and lighting and sound. And I mean, we all know that it does help. It does make everything a little bit better. And yeah.
Yeah, and even when you're gearing up for a launch and you're using video for marketing, with whether it's podcasting or just video marketing in general, I see this regardless of what industry, health, fitness, podcasting. People are always wondering like, what gear do you use? Because if you're sitting here watching on YouTube, or you're seeing this in a YouTube short, or you're seeing it on TikTok, you can see that you've got good lighting, you got, the colors in the back, like it's very aesthetically pleasing. You've got good audio. I know you're probably using a better professional mic and everything like that, and an interface, but people are always wondering like, what's the best mic or what's the best camera? But as far as like people who are just starting out just on a budget, what type of gear would you recommend for content creation, starting with video?
Yeah, well, obviously the phone, it works. I mean, it's a good video camera. I mean, it's nothing like it was 10 years ago. I mean, you can shoot really good videos with a phone. And you don't have to blow off a lot of money on a microphone either, but you can do better than, these headphones, obviously. But I mean, they still is better than nothing, but you can spend like less than $100 on a good microphone and still get great sound. And, for lighting, it's natural light. You can still use that. Or you can buy like a working lamp and have some kind of sheet in front of it just to kind of soften it a little bit. So there's always these hacks that you can do and still make it look good. But, as you start to want to improve, or you get into that gear thing, you definitely want to, spend more money on better equipment, because it is better. But at some point, it's minor differences that you probably not going to even notice. So at some point you can just stop. You don't have to go all the way.
Yeah, no, I found a few budget friendly pieces of equipment. I know not Samsung, but Samsung, Samson. Samsung Audio Technica has that. It's like AT2020 handheld. And this other brand that was actually in my DMs for a while, and I was like kind of skeptical. It looks like Fine, but it's Fine. And I've done a video on my YouTube channel about this. But man, it is budget stuff, but it's like high quality budget stuff. Like the whole like experience, I was shocked, because their like Yeti competitor is like this solid piece of metal. Like it came in great packaging. I was impressed.
Yeah. And you have all these LED lights, which they're small and they're affordable, and you can change colors. And then, you don't have to have like this professional studio lights anymore like you used to, which took up a lot of space, obviously.
Yeah, and with I always recommend like newer lights. I think or newer. I got to figure out the correct pronunciation, but because I see a lot of people use ring lights, and I'm like, no, if you don't know ring lights, it's just that harsh light, especially for women. I'm actually shocked that they use them because it's such a harsh light. And yeah, there's little hacks and stuff around it. But if you can, even though they're a little clunky, they have those newer, has like a softbox kit, whether you get 2 or 3, and it just makes your skin look really, really good. And all you got to do is set it up to the right and the left, and you've got solid lighting, man.
Exactly. Yeah. I wanted to make my setup like so I don't have to pull out a lot of stuff to get set up. It's just basically put the computer down, turn everything on, and there we are. So it's, tiny LED lamps on each side that hangs on the wall, and, just a small portable light behind me with colors, and a boom mic with, so you just can put it over here. Camera's always on the same position, and just plug it in. Keep it simple.
And before I dump on the ring light too much, if you do have one, get the soft boxes, but don't throw away your ring light, because that's what I use behind me to like give the glow. So keep your ring light, just don't use it on your face. Or if you're really on a budget, I see it a lot of the times where the camera's down, looking up your nose. It's just not a great look. But since I teach simplicity, like granted, this is on a newer MacBook Pro, but even my old one still looked pretty good. And as long as you have good lighting, I'm telling you, it goes a long way. And plus, my laptop is sitting on just like a $20 stand. It was on like boxes and stuff, because you can jerry rig anything. But I was like, okay, I need something solid. And then just turning in front of I know the light's coming in from my left side if you're watching this on YouTube, but if you just face, my desk is way too heavy to move, face the window, and you've just got great lighting on your face. And you don't have to invest in gear. Well, you'd still do, but yeah, somewhat, but you just have to keep it more, but it's a little bit more budget friendly.
Yeah. But I mean, don't get hung up on the gear if you're launching. It's not going to make or break your launch, to be honest. You can still launch with less gear than what we guys have. So, yeah.
And that's what we were kind of evolving into, because I just, like I said, if you're going to use, whether I just want to cover video real quick, just so we cover all our bases, because there are softwares for launches, but webcam and just those like anything Logitech, I think is good, but I would just say use what you got, because I'm telling you, lighting will fix almost just about every camera as long as your lighting is halfway decent.
Absolutely. Yeah, lighting is crucial.
Yeah. And when you do launch, if you were going like, I guess the webinar way, there's Zoom has a webinar thing now, Webinar Jam, Webinar Ninja. What is the one that James recommends? It's Webinar something. I can't remember which one it was.
No, me neither.
There's so many. Which one works, I guess, best for you and your launches?
I gotta say, I mean, Zoom is really, it's so simple to use, and you can have a lot of people in there, and whether you want to see people or not, it's up to you, obviously. But yeah, I do like Zoom. I do. The only drawback I feel like with Zoom is that you don't really get that quality if you have like a good camera, like I do. I have 4K cameras. I would wanted to take advantage of that, so I use Riverside, which is a different software. But I mainly use that with the podcast and recording stuff for myself. So I haven't tried that with the webinar yet, but it is possible because you can have an audience, but obviously I can't see them. So that's kind of what I like with Zoom. Like you can actually see all the people, all the faces that's in the audience. So yeah, Zoom. It is.
Zoom. Yeah, I remember. And the good thing is, I think with the pandemic and everything that happened, like everybody has Zoom, everybody familiar with it. So it's like, it's pretty easy. But I did see, I know you mentioned Riverside, and Riverside's really good with, they're known for their podcasting and their video podcasting, remote interview type software. But I just found out yesterday, because I was just like clicking around content, that they have webinar software. Is that how it works?
I haven't looked into that. So I just know that when you have like Riverside, you can have, so you have the host and you have like an admin or producer, which is just someone in the background, and then you can have guests on, and that's a maximum of you and seven more that can be on the cameras at the same time, and you're recording all of them. And then you have audience, which is just people in the background, which you can't see them, but you can see them. Like there's X amount of people in the audience.
Hmm.
So I would assume that that's the audience thing is kind of where the webinar aspect comes in because you can share your screen and do everything that you can do with any software. So
Have you used Webinar Jam?
no, I have not. I've
Man,
tried Zoom and Crowdcast and Demio, I think, at some point.
yeah, I just, man, I shot myself in the foot, man. Webinar Jam, like in theory, I feel like works really well because it's, I believe, specifically for marketers, and I think it was created by a marketer. So it's like when you have your offer up and it's time for somebody to buy, it's a really easy like click on thing. The only problem, well, yeah, is that you have to pay for it up front. Like there's no, hey, I'm going to test it out for a month and let's just see how it goes. So
Yeah.
once you're in, you're in. And it's like, it's when I did it, it was $500. I'm sure with inflation, it's definitely gone to more.
Yeah.
But even with Evergreen, I know they have an Evergreen model as well. So yeah, man, it can get a little pricey.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to start there, obviously. You can start out with Zoom. So
Yeah, Zoom, I think it's what? I mean, Zoom's charging now, like, I think my plan's like $15. I think to add on webinars is like an extra $5 or $10.
yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, $15. I remember that at least. And you can have like what up to 100 people at
Something
least.
like that.
So
Yeah.
that's affordable.
Yeah. Well, man, dude, I could talk about launches all day. Do you got what's in your pipeline as far as your launch goes? I know you've been working hard on your program.
Oh, I'm actually planning out the entire 2023 as we speak. So I have like everything lined up. So probably going to launch a few times next year. It's going to start out in early February with a live launch for my offer, which is a launch support hub. Basically, it's an on-demand launch support. So you can get the help that you need when you need it, because when people are launching, they're stuck in it and they kind of need help right now. I'm like, oh, help me. Things are going sideways here. So what do I do? What do I change? So that's kind of what that's all about. So yeah, I'm doing a live launch in February, and up until then, it's just building up the launch runway and make sure you create that demand and desire for this offer.
Awesome, man. And where can people find you on? Or actually, before that, I was gonna ask you about. Oh crap! It's leaving me. No, I had it and I lost it. If I think about it while we're talking about where to find you online, I'll let you know. If not, whatever. But yeah. So where can people find you online?
They can find me on Instagram, like I said, at Ken WestGaard. That's WESTGAARD, so double A. And obviously, just send me a DM on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most, obviously. So, best place to find me. And you can listen to my podcast, obviously. Oh my God, I'm launching a podcast, which is really awesome. And maybe we'll have Thomas there as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. And of course I'll link everything in the show notes below or the description below. But I did remember the question. So our one messaging mentor, Brandon Lucero, talks about like finding your dharma and like what you're supposed to be doing out of all the things when it comes to launching, or like, I think I got ahead of myself there. Kind of like what you start with is not what you end with. What did you start with? And then what did you just kind of like gradually go to launching, or does that make sense? Like I was teaching people when I first started with James in Business by Design. I was teaching people how to get their dream job on TV. And now, it's evolved from YouTube, and then it was podcasting, and then I niched down to podcast interviews. So I'm just wondering what your, I guess, evolution was.
Well, I did start out with web and graphic design, and I still love doing that every now and then, but it's not something I promote or anything like that. But that's an area I can help people with, obviously, because I've been through it. And then I ended slightly in the conversation optimization field a little bit, just working with numbers and just figuring out what can improve on your like sales pitch and stuff like that. And then I ended up with email marketing, so I've been through that a couple of years, but eventually I landed on launching after that because I started to just kind of do a little list for myself, what do I enjoy doing, what I don't enjoy doing, and then just figure, I'm actually helping people launch. So like, well, that's cool. I want to do that. And then just, trusting my intuition, guiding me. And, yeah, I'm where I'm at today. And I think a lot of the mindset piece around launching, it's something I really enjoy, coaching people through that because I know yeah, it's a hard thing to go through. I mean, like I said, it's a roller or emotional roller coaster. So, love just helping people through that. And yeah, now it's evolved into messaging and the offer and the energy and all that stuff. So it's just continuously evolving. But when you say Dharma and all that stuff, I also, thinking about why I'm doing this as well, because I think that's important that you have like this good why. And for me, that is just seeing the journey I've been through and the way I've evolved as a person just by, trying to build a business has led me down, all this personal development path kind of way. And I love to just being able to do that for other people as well and how we can, affect our future generations. So all the things that I've learned, that is something I can help my kids with start dealing with, fear, insecurity, inner critic, all that stuff. And they don't have to go through that. Like I've been doing it for like the 40 years I've been alive on this planet, but they can get started, at the age of 10. And by the time they're 20, they're all set up for life and don't have to deal with the crap that I had to deal with. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And last question is, if somebody is getting ready to launch and there was just like, hey, you can only give like a one solid piece of advice, what would it be?
It would be start with the messaging because it is the foundation of everything that you're going to do, everything that you're going to put out in your business. I mean, everything from sales pages, emails, social media posts, scripts for your videos. It's essentially the foundation. So start with that and don't get hung up that it needs to be perfect. It doesn't, because it never will be perfect, but just allow it to change and evolve in the same way that you do. I mean, that's the most important thing that I can think of, that you actually start with that, because it's going to make your life so much easier when you actually do get into a launch and start talking to people. It's going to help you a lot.
Awesome, man. Well, Ken, once again, thank you so much for taking the time. I know we're on crazy time zones. You're all the way in Norway, so this is great, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.